Now that we have all of our colors labeled, we are ready to start painting. So I'm gonna set this aside for a minute so we can talk a little bit about our palette and our paints. One of the most important parts of this paint mixing and painting process is that our brushes need to be dry as we are mixing colors and picking up colors. So as we are mixing a color, that's going to take a pickup of two different colors. So if I were to mix maybe the yellow green, I want to pick up the lighter color first, which is going to obviously be the yellow. And this one, this is what we don't want to happen. This is what we're trying to avoid. See the orange in here? So we're going to pick up a little goober of paint on our brush, and we're going to put it on our palette right here to start us off. And I'm going to rinse my brush. And when we rinse, we're going to swirl. We're not going to stab or jab the paintbrush into the bottom of it. We're going to swirl and then tap, and then we're going to put it in our paper towel, and we're going to squeeze and pull the paint brush through. And if we see that there's still color, see a little bit of yellow on there, I'm going to swirl, rinse, and I'm going to pull again, and I'm going to check. And that one's clean. So now I'm ready to pick up a little bit less green because the darker color dominates, and so you don't need as much. So I'm going to put that over here, and I'm going to, now it doesn't matter if I mix because I'm trying to mix a yellow green now, so I can go back and forth. So I'm going to pick up a little bit of green and I mix it into my yellow. A little bit of green, mix it into my yellow, and now I have this really awesome kind of yellowy green color. So I'm going to make sure that's all mixed up, and I'm trying to keep it kind of tight. I don't want to spread it out really big because then it's going to dry out really fast. So I want it to stay ready to use until I'm done painting my section. So when I paint, I'm going to pick up paint on the end of my brush. It's really easy to scoop with a flat brush, and then I'm going to hold the gold part or silver part of my paintbrush. So kind of like I'm holding a pencil up towards the bristles, and then I'm going to pull towards me to paint and see how wide that area is that I can paint in. So I'm going to pull towards me, so I'm going to go around the edges, and then I'm going to drag it along the edge here, and I'm running out of paint because it's getting a little squirrely on the edges. So I'm going to pick up another shelf of paint on my brush, and then I'm going to continue to fill, and I'm going to drag. Now sometimes I'll use the pinky method, and I'll set my pinky down if I don't have any wet paint over here to stabilize my hand and keep me steady. So I'm going to drag along the line, pulling towards me again. I can go a little bit quicker in the middle because I'm not trying to stay in the lines there, and then drag along the line. I'm running out of paint, so I'm going to get another shelf of paint on my brush and then fill that in. Okay. The next thing I'm going to do, I would rinse my brush. I would pick up some white paint because this inner circle is going to be tints of our colors. So I've already got some white paint on my palette, so I'm going to pull some of that over here, and I'm going to mix my yellow green that I have left with my white paint, and I'm going to get this really cool mint green. Awesome. So we need to see that it's different from this yellow green, so it needs to be lighter, and it is. So I can go ahead and take that to my palette and paint my tint area in my palette or my painting paper. Okay. So sometimes it's kind of hard with these flat brushes to get in these little tiny crevices. So what I will do sometimes if I don't want to switch brushes is I will put the paint on the corner, and I will use the corner of my brush to fill that in, as long as you have enough paint on there. Alright, so just using the corner of the tip. I kind of squirreled out of the lines there, but I think that's okay. Alright, so I've got my tint of my yellow green and my yellow green, so you can see that, and I missed a little bit there, so I might go back in and fill that in. Okay, so tints, and then our regular color, which is, we call that the hue. Alright, so thinking about all these colors, we're going to keep going around. So the next one would be to paint the green. So I can get a dollop of or a shelf of paint on my paintbrush, and I can start painting my green in. I notice that my yellow green is good because it's lighter and more yellow than my true green here. I'm going to paint away or towards myself, so I'm going to turn my paper so that I can be painting towards myself and pulling the paint rather than pushing it. Turn it again. And then you would work your way around the color wheel. Okay? As for cleanup, when it is time to clean up, it is time to clean up. I will give you some warning to finish up with your last color before it is actually time for cleanup, so be listening for that warning. And once it's time, we'll stop painting. We will rinse our brush in our cups, pull to make sure that it's clean. I still have some green in there, so I'm going to go again. Pull. I think that's from the before, so I think I'm good. So this brush is clean. We'll do the same thing with the other brushes if I were using multiple brushes. Okay, so my brushes are clean, they're set to the side. I will go put this away. It goes in the drying rack in your colored area on the shelves. Make sure your name's on the back of it. Your paint brushes will go in the cups by the sinks. Try to keep them in the same size cups that they came out of. Your water cup will get dumped in the sink, rinsed in the water, and then dumped again and then set in the stacks by the sink. So there's a place for everything to go. Our palettes will go back on the counter where we got them today. And lastly, our magazine paper will be torn out of the magazine. And I've got a big chunk of papers that are stuck together from somebody who didn't. But tear your piece out, and then you're going to fold that in half and throw it away. And that will get you cleaned up for the day. If there's any spots on your desk outside of your paint mats that are out, you will need to sponge those off. Remember when you use the sponges that you put water in them, squeeze the extra water out, so they shouldn't be dripping. So squeeze it tight, get all the water out, then take it to your table, wash. If there's still paint residue on the table, rinse the sponge, squeeze the water out, come back, wash the rest of it off, and you're good to go. I hope you have fun with this and you learn how to successfully mix some great paint colors.